but I'm having a breakdown, or at least I feel like I'm having a breakdown, at least most every day. That's what happens when you start a Kickstarter project. Is it drives you mentally insane for 30 days straight. I've decided that that's the case. This is Jeff Messer. This is the breakdown. Good to see everybody back here, and it's a Wednesday, so we're breaking down, or I'm breaking down, and then we're going to break down some other stuff for you. We've got a big announcement coming later in the show. I wanted to throw out a real quick update on the Kickstarter. Of course, those of you who have followed the show, follow the Facebook page and other places as well, know that I have a comic book project that I launched on Kickstarter almost 2 weeks ago, not quite 2 weeks at this point. It is a comic book adaptation of the adventures of young Robin Hood, and the concepts are based out of the series of stage plays that I co-wrote and have been produced to wild acclaim several times. And we have a local artist who is working with us on the book. The book is finished, and we're just raising funds so that we can pay the artist to print the books. And the big catch here is that we decided, because it is kind of an all-ages book, it's something that's appropriate for families, appropriate for kids. And a lot of comics these days are simply not as kid-friendly as maybe some people would like them to be. And offering something that is clearly kid-friendly is really important to us in this sense. I grew up on Star Wars, which was like PG, but it was still sort of kid-friendly. But anyway, enough about that. The Kickstarter is going really well. We're approaching the 50% mark as far as the time of the Kickstarter. We're almost down to the halfway point of the 30 days, and we're almost halfway funded. And of course, that's why Kickstarter is stressful as hell, is because people will jump in and they'll fund like the first weekend, the first 4 or 5 days, like, yeah, we're excited. And then nobody gives a crap for the next 2.5 weeks. And then in the last 3 days, everybody's like, oh, yeah, we're super excited. So that's what's stressing me out. So if you guys are watching and you guys are checking us out, and you want to support the project, go check it out on Kickstarter. Just type Young Robin Hood into the search box. We are the only one out there. And the big thing about that project is that we are going to match every pledge with not just one, but 2 books now, because I've found a new organization that I want to tell everybody about, and you should go check them out. Our first goal was that we were going to print the books, put them out there, and we're going to send a copy for every copy that someone purchases through pledge. We're going to send a copy to a local public school, to a classroom or a school library, and we're going to get it out there. And there's the cover art from Hans Strotterman, who drew the book for us, a local Asheville-based artist. This is Hans' first comic book, and everybody that sees this is like, man, it looks like cartoons I used to watch when I was a kid. And I think it does. It looks totally like the 2D animation style that I grew up on. But we're going to send books to schools and school kids for free. And also I hooked up with, and I talked with a gentleman named Mark Weiss just last week. And oh my God, I'm so much more inspired now after talking with him. He is the head of a nonprofit called Comic Books for Kids. And they get comic books from a lot of major companies. And they want to get our comic book too. And we're going to send them as many as we can. And they donate them to children's hospitals and children cancer centers. And I mean, come on, people. How can you not support something like that? So this is a really couple of great causes that we're doing. This book has nothing to do with our egos. It's just something we're really proud of. And we are making absolutely no money off of it. But we are getting the books out there to as many people as possible. And once you support it, go to Kickstarter and do it. I know we got some super fans out there like Dimitri. Dimitri, I want to see you pledge, buddy. We'll send you a great comic book, and then we'll donate a comic book in your name to a school and to a children's hospital. And it's a pretty freaking awesome feeling. When you make a $10 pledge and you get 3 books and you get to keep 1 and 2 of them go to great causes, it's a win-win for everybody. So check it out. I won't belabor the point now, but I will bug the shit out of all of you on Facebook for the next 18 days, 17 days if you're listening to this tomorrow. But anyway, enough about that. I just wanted to give you the update. We're approaching the 50% funding mark, and got to push. So And this is a big part of what Issues With is about on so many levels. Projects like this, you're going to be hearing more about things like this as we met and interviewed artists and creators over the past year. One of the things that's inspired me and inspired Jack and our producing buddy John is hearing about creative projects that people have, passions that they have, things they want to do, and maybe sometimes it's difficult for them to get it done through the traditional comic book company world. And it sort of dawned on us, maybe we can help. Maybe we can help. And so we're looking forward to delving into all kinds of new territory very, very soon. And that's not even the major announcement that's coming up at the end of the episode. So stick around because we got a big, huge, very exciting announcement coming up at the end. But now we've got a special guest with us here who, if he's still awake after all the talking I just did, somebody kick him, wake him up over there. Bobby Canipe Jr. is hanging out with us. He's hanging out in front of a really, I'm envious of the toy display you got there, Bobby. How's it going, man? Oh, no, Bobby can't hear me. All right. So technical difficulties. Bobby can't hear me. He is he's right there. No, can you? Can you hear me? He's like, wave to Bobby. Oh, awesome. There we go. There was the time to.
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
I was like, oh my God, he's nodded off because I just bored the shit out of everybody, and somebody needs to wake him up. How's it going, Bobby? Good to see you, man.
I'm good, man. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. And Bobby has a YouTube channel. Tell us about your YouTube channel. We see the cool logo right down there on the screen. Tell us what you're up to, Bobby.
So yeah, Universe Retro over on YouTube. Basically anything retro or retro to me. I'm 35, so retro to me is like 80s and 90s when I was growing up. So it covers everything from like, what you guys are into, like comic books, especially at that time, movies, video games, toys. From the logo, you can tell like the swords from Masters of the Universe. That was a big,
yes.
Inspiration for me. So, we cover anything like around like that, like 80s, 90s toys, culture, nostalgia, stuff like that.
Very cool. Now, you just said Masters of the Universe, so I've got to ask you, Kevin Smith being a guy who's reviving Masters of the Universe, thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I am, because I do believe Kevin Smith is a big fan, and
he's a nerd just like us.
Do it justice and do really well, or he'll do something just crazy off the wall. Which yeah. I mean, if they're going to do it, go for it. I want to see what's going on with it, so I'm cool with it.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And tell people how to find your channel so they can go check out your videos. So that was Jack just pulled up an image of your YouTube channel there. What do people need to do to find your channel, Bobby?
I'm sorry, you broke out for a while. I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. How do people find your channel on YouTube?
Okay, yeah, so you can go a couple different ways. You can just go to youtube.com/C/Universe Retro, or if you just go to YouTube and search Universe Retro, it's the top one that's going to come up. And you'll see this logo, with Universe Retro and the sword and all that. So you can't miss it.
Perfect. And what have you been talking about? What's the latest episode on there? What can people expect?
Yeah, so what I've been doing lately, especially with October, I actually started it up 2 weeks ago, was what I call hometown haunts. So a lot of people know about the big haunted attractions that come around Halloween, like Universal Halloween Horror Nights and stuff, and those are great. But like what I wanted to do is I really wanted to spotlight some of the local haunted attractions, the stuff that people get out in a month before Halloween. They build everything with pallets, volunteers and stuff all get together, and then it's very small budget. And I call it hometown haunts. So every Friday night, and a few Saturday nights, I go out to one and I bring like a special guest with me. Like my wife goes on a few with me. A couple guys from some bands have went with me. I started it out where I was going to do 6 every Friday leading up to Halloween, but then the ball started rolling. People started hitting me up, so I'm starting to do them like Friday and Saturdays now.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. We do like a pre-interview where we talk about how we got there, how everything looks on the outside, and our pre-thoughts before we even walk in. Then we walk in, and typically we don't really film inside. We want to keep it a surprise. We'll take some shots here and there, but that's it. And then we'll do like a review, afterward, and like unique things we might have seen inside.
Very, very cool. Now, talking about nerd stuff and all the comic book stuff.
Yeah.
Some big news. You pay attention to what's going on out there in the news and social media. It gets people really stirred up very quickly, but it certainly feeds the fire, if you will, of fans' passions out there, and nothing quite ignited fans as much as this Marvel Disney versus Sony and Spider-Man. Now Spider-Man's home, and he's not only home, but he came home, and then he was far from home, and then it's like he's homeless now. What the hell? So Disney and Sony famously, I don't know, they decided to take a break. They decided to get separated, and it looked like the end. But now, I guess mediation or counseling has helped them. What the hell? What's going on? Talk about
Yeah.
jerking fans around.
Yeah, man. So Spider-Man is my favorite superhero of all time. Even when I was a kid, watching the Spider-Man animated series and stuff. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans, other than Part Three. Not really a big fan of Andrew Garfield, but of course I watched them because I do love Spider-Man. So when I first heard about it, I was bummed because as a fan, I think Tobey Maguire, or not Tobey Maguire, but Tom Holland was like my favorite Spider-Man. I think he really captures what I wanted as a Spider-Man. So when I heard about their little divorce or the little breakup, I was pretty bummed. To an extent, I'm still a little bit bummed because my thoughts on this are they both looked at it like it ended on a cliffhanger and they need a movie to tie it in. So I do think that Spider-Man is going over to Sony permanently after this.
Mm.
I know they've got one movie where they can do like an Avenger style movie, and then they've got one solo. But I do believe those are going to wrap it up, and that's going to be the last we see of Marvel. And I could be wrong, but
Sure.
I do think it's just a way of wrapping it up.
That could be the case because I think we have yet to hear all of the details of why they made amends. But you're right. Yeah, the last movie, which is just now out on Blu-ray this week, people can rush out and get it if they want. Far From Home, which was a fun movie, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
But you're right, it was definitely a cliffhanger ending that not only set up I think the next Spider-Man movie, but certainly set up the next kind of Marvel universe movie with Spider-Man being such a
just
heavy
a heads
part
up. I
of
don't know
it.
if you can hear me, but I've noticed when you guys pop up a picture, I lose
Yeah.
audio on you. I can see the
Oh,
picture, but I can't hear the audio.
oh no. Okay, great. Yeah, well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Okay, but yeah. So as I was saying, when the pictures were flashing through there, it's like I think that the end of the movie set up, of course, the third Spider-Man standalone movie, but it also kind of laid the groundwork for Spider-Man being a much bigger part of the Marvel universe. Do
Mhm.
you think that they're going to be able to, if what you believe is actually true and comes true? Uh, I mean, I think with Disney and Marvel would very rapidly insert Tom Holland Spider-Man into every single Marvel movie that's coming out between now and whenever this contract is up, just to get as much mileage out of him because I think he is kind of the heart and soul of the Marvel universe, which is what they set up leading into the passing of Tony Stark. Just that's the way I feel have gone. He's like the heir apparent, and if that's gone from the Marvel universe, they're gonna have to find somebody else for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree completely. I think when Tom Holland's Spider-Man came into Marvel and Marvel kind of had a little bit, I don't want to say control, but they felt like they had him. I felt like they were implementing. They were like setting him up to be like the leader, like the guy, the
Right.
go-to guy everybody thinks of when they think of Marvel and Avengers and all that. I do think they were going for that. I think when Sony came out and kind of thinks they can do their own money and do their own thing and make all this money and bring their Spider Verse with Morbius and Venom and all that. I think they're pulling it. Um, I do think like they'll at least go do their own thing and then maybe like come back if they can't do it. Um, my thoughts on what they'll probably do, and this is just speculation. I have a feeling that there's going to be some. We're going to do the third Spider-Man, and then he's going to be part of some big event film. And he's going to either like sacrifice his life to
Mm.
go into a rift of some sort, and he's in another universe, which would allow him to have a clean exit out of this, and then go straight into the Venom and the Morbius. I think if they do pull him, that's the only logical way is to do some kind of Spider Verse thing. where he does go into a universe, and then that cuts him free of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, puts him into his own universe with these characters. And I've thought about it, and that's the only clean break I can see happening. That's the only way I can think of it.
I mean, I think you definitely have put a lot of thought into it as a fan, obviously. That sounds like a pretty safe move. I mean, that's how everybody gets out of this clean. And I've heard a lot of people out there sort of speculatively talking about it, saying, Sony is the one that can survive this deal much better than Disney if they break apart. They've got a successful Spider-Man. They've got a successful Venom franchise. By taking it away from Disney, they kind of set themselves up to continue on and be very, very successful and popular. And Disney, meanwhile, has to rethink a lot of things for life without Spider-Man. Agree with that's the only way they're going to be able to pull this off.
See me or not?
Yes, I see it. The little shark, the shark. There you go. We're now entering our hand puppet phase of the show. We should have worked out a commercial, like a funny commercial or something like that. Although I applaud Bobby for his shark puppetry. It was very, very. There you go. Very amusing.
Wasn't aware if you guys could see that or not. So.
Oh yeah, no. We were all watching. We were all watching. So
okay, good deal.
Yeah.
So my apologies from the technical side, guys. I don't know what happened with Be Live TV, but it freaked out. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, and Bobby, and I'm going to go back behind the curtain where I belong.
Good stuff. Anyway, I'll just pick back up and say, Bobby, I really liked your theory as to how Marvel and Sony, or Disney and Sony, could possibly get out of this clean the next time, as opposed to the ugly breakup that we just saw. I mean, that to me, that seems like the best way possible, is to have Spider-Man get sucked away into, the Ultimates universe or somewhere else, or the Spider-Verse. I mean, I do think Sony got a little cocky between Spider-Verse and Venom, and then they thought, we don't need this Disney thing to be successful. And they may be right. But I think fans, that's the hard part, is that we're dealing with corporations that are not necessarily thinking about fans first. But if you piss off the fan base, I mean, they'll hurt you. They will hurt you. They will mess with Han Solo if they're pissed off, and make sure that he fails, as we saw before, which I think it's talking about Star Wars for a second. I mean, I think that the Solo movie was a great, fun movie, and it was just fans getting their revenge for being ticked off by what they didn't get out of The Last Jedi. That's at least the way I feel about that. And I mean, The Last Jedi, far from a perfect film in a lot of ways. I don't know. How do you feel? Are you a Star Wars guy?
Yeah, I am a Star Wars guy. So, honestly, I grew up at the time with episode 1, 2, and 3, which I still didn't love.
Right. So you've got a different perspective because you were born after Return of the Jedi. So you weren't part of the original trilogy kids.
Yeah, so like I watched the Star Wars when I was a kid, the 4, 5, and 6. But it wasn't like a big phenomenon like when I was like 14, episode 1 came out, and it was huge, and there was parts I liked about episode 1. I liked the racing, the pod racing stuff.
Sure, yeah.
But other than that, and Darth Maul when he was in it was cool. I remember that. But I still actually preferred 4, 5, and 6. When Force Awakens come out, I dug it. I actually really did like Solo. I thought it was a great movie.
It was great.
I thought it was really fun. I felt like they rushed a lot of it. They felt like everything we knew about Han Solo, they needed to put in the movie. It's like everything we knew was in that movie. But
there were a lot of fans who were like, "Oh man, if he doesn't do the Kessel Run, I'm going to be so pissed." I think they got themselves stuck in a we need to do too much fan service in this movie. And Lawrence Kasdan and his son writing it, I mean, I think they knew which boxes to tick, and they did, because I mean, I love it. I love The Force Awakens. It is one of my favorite Star Wars movies, because I think they did the impossible by rebooting the entire Star Wars universe with new characters that you instantly cared about. But then people who saw it were like, "Oh man, it's just retelling of A New Hope." But it's like, if you look at all of those movies, there's a cyclical nature. It's like I told people before Force Awakens came out, I'm like, Han Solo is going to die. Not just because that's part of the legend of what Harrison Ford wanted, but I said, as soon as we all knew that he was going to be a mentor to Rey, was like, that it happened in episode 1
Mm-hmm.
with Qui-Gon. It happened in episode 4 with Obi-Wan. It's going to happen in episode 7 with Han Solo. And sure enough, I was the least surprised person in the theater when that happened, because the way Star Wars is crafted, it's a very cyclical type of storytelling. So of course it felt familiar, but it had to, because if it had felt too far removed, it would have been like The Last Jedi, which went the exact opposite direction. Pissed off a bunch of people, a bunch of fans who were like, that's not my Star Wars. Well, but you bitched 2 years ago about getting exactly your Star Wars, and it was too much. You can't please some people out there. But it is interesting, because the new movie coming out with J.J. Abrams back on board. How do you feel about that?
So honestly, man, I think, and once again, I could be totally wrong. I just feel like with them going into the third one, I feel like they're just trying to wrap stuff up and be done with it. I feel like there's other things they want to do with Star Wars, and I feel like a lot of them are done with this. They're just going to do whatever they need to do in this last one, and there's not. I feel like the first one had a ton of heart. The second one, they went some crazy directions with. People didn't like it, and the third one, they're just wrapping up and getting done with it so they can do other things.
Yeah.
I hated this. I hated, The Last Jedi. I really didn't like that. But I did like Force Awakens. So I'm kind of 50-50 on it, which way they go. I mean, I'm still going to go see it. I just don't 100% know how I feel about it yet.
Okay. So you think maybe it's too much of a feat for Abrams to come in and course correct a lot of The Last Jedi, but also make it look like he's not course correcting The Last Jedi, which he's been quoted as saying is his plan. He's not undoing things for The Last Jedi. Uh-oh. We may have lost the audio again. All right, Bobby, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yep. No audio. Now it looks like we've lost the audio again. Okay. Welcome to the world of beta testing with BeLive.tv, and it's a great website, and we enjoy using it.
I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but I cannot hear you or see anybody anymore.
All right, so there we go. We lost Bobby.
So if you guys are talking, I cannot hear you.
Okay, yeah. All right, so that makes things a little rough, but we did
You
get.
can hear me. Good deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
More Star Wars. More Star
you guys
Wars.
can see and hear me. It's just like a gray square for me with no sound.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's go over to the box here and see if. All right. Yeah, we're just having some difficulties here. Sorry, I apologize to everyone for that, especially Bobby out there. All right. So that being the case, we'll have Bobby back at some point. Looks like I got a message from Jack. Looks like our technical difficulties are a little bit more than we had wanted or hoped they could possibly be, and might be too hard to remedy at this point. But thanks, Bobby. Check out his Universe Retro YouTube page. We'll have Bobby back on in just a few weeks once we work some of the bugs out. In the meantime, I want to go ahead and announce, and if producer Jack is still floating around out there and can jump in, we'll do that as well, because I would love for him to be on it. But I understand we're dealing with some technical difficulties. And as long as everyone can still hear me, I want to let you know that be on the lookout. Keep an eye on this page. We will be announcing very soon. There's Jack. All right. Yeah, wait. All right. There he is. Okay. We can hear each other, but yeah.
I don't know what's going on today. We've never had this. We've had like little hiccups.
Yeah, this is a new issue. A new issue with BeLive TV. Yeah. But anyway, so Jack, we've got big news for everybody. The mothership of what we've been working on, God, for a year now, right? At least. We've been talking about this for a year now.
I mean, if you go back to when we conceptualized and started the fundraising, I mean, that's something entirely different. But so for those of you who don't know, Issues With is a interview-based show that we do at Comic-Cons, specifically at Heroes Con. And we shot all of season 1 already. So we sat down with I mean, Jeff, you can probably rattle
God.
names more faster than I can, but
no.
huge
Brian
names in the industry.
Freeze, Charles Vess, Colleen Doran, oh my God, Neil Adams. There we go. Picture of Neil sitting down with us, which is a major get. Trust me, he's not the easiest guy to get an interview with, and we got Neil Adams. We also got Keith Giffen and J.M.D. Mateus. We had Carl Kiesel, Tom Grummett, June Brigman, Yannick Paquette, Greg LaRock. Oh, I'm going to miss some here.
I was going to say, you're actually going to get all of them.
Yeah, no, it was a great collection, and some of them were double interviews. So we did 12 episodes, and we actually interviewed 14 different people for those 12 episodes, plus a few small mini interviews. We saw the interview with the creators of Tuskegee Airmen that Kat did on the floor a few episodes back. We also have an upcoming episode that we did with Patrick Dean, who is an artist who is suffering with ALS, and we all know that that's a pretty dire diagnosis. Yeah. And he is as stubborn and creative as humanly possible. He is currently, I believe, taping his pen to his hand so that he can hold it to draw. And he's drawing. He is actually drawing.
That's dedication, man.
Demise. Yeah. It's amazing.
So Issues With is an interview-based show where we basically had this like little private secret room that we would sneak the artist away. You can see there that it was in a private location with that backdrop. The camera's all set up, but the idea was to get them to sit down and have a conversation we've never heard them have before, which is not the fans walking up to the table and go, "I love your work," and ask me like, "Where do you get your inspiration?" Everybody asks that, but this was like, who are they? Like, what's their family life been like? You know, where did they grow up? Trials, tribulations, and that full season, we will be announcing its distribution. You know, God knows, a month, maybe months from now. Yes. But the big news is that we are officially releasing the pilot episode, which is a no-air pilot, which means it will not be part of the very first season. This is just a free episode, basically, that we did to show everybody what the show, the full season, will really be like with our special guests.
We experimented with some trial episodes last November, and one of them turned out really, really great. All three of them were great. In fact, Jeremy Whitley, who we interviewed last fall at a different con, we re-interviewed for the new season. And we also talked to Doc Shaner, who was really great. But the real gem of the three interviews we got was with Afua Richardson. And it was just so good that we decided we're going to do like an unaired pilot version of this episode so people can see it and see what it is that we're really trying to do. And Jack has been working hard on it. I watched the latest cut of it earlier today, and it's freaking amazing. It really, I mean, I was there, I was doing the interview, but as I was watching it, I was like, this is it. This is what we wanted, everything we wanted and more out of this show. And that interview with Afua that you'll see on Friday night, which is when we're releasing it, will show you the moment that we all realize, yes, this is what we want this to be. She was the interview that did that for us. Like, we realized the potential that we had, and it's been the wind in our sails ever since. So really excited about it. And Jack, do we have an estimated time that we're going to be releasing the pilot, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, the pilot is going to release this Friday. So you'll be able to catch the pilot episode on our website, of course, which is Issues With, I mean, you can see it down there at the bottom, issueswithshow.com. And if you go to our website and you check it out, as you can, wait, this way? Yeah. You can see on the screen there.
Oh, no, it's over there. Yeah,
you're just going to pop up to the screen here, go to watch, because that's what you're there to do, and go to pilot. And it's going to be right here. And it'll be available for free. And we will be sort of pulling some segments because I don't know if you mentioned this, but the whole interview was what, almost an hour, 45 minutes or something like that?
Yeah, it was between 45 minutes and an hour that we sat with her and talked.
So these episodes, although we may talk to people for 45 minutes or an hour, we trim everything down and kind of give you the best of everything in about a 30-minute episode. And as we snip some things out for whatever reason, we will then be releasing those snippets online to people, and just so that you can kind of get the full picture. During the sort of the big thing that I think sets the show apart is that while we do these interviews, we have a second crew down on the floor, and they are interviewing you guys at the cons, cosplayers, fans, parents of kids that wanted to go, kids
so many great
parents that wanted to go, and we get your questions and we relay them back to the interview. Sometimes we just got some amazing and maybe even a little odd questions from some of you on the floor. I know a couple people made Jeff squirm.
You'll see the strangest answer we've ever gotten. And we got it like probably the first hour we were out interviewing people. And it's like to top this one will take a huge effort for a fan to pose a better question than the one we got. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but oh my God, our mouths were kind of hanging, down to the floor when this young woman posed the query that she did. So look for that. It's going to be in this episode too, right, Jack?
That's right. So something to keep in mind, just for anybody who happened to catch us, if you saw us, as you can see behind me is like all this chaos. Wait, I never get it right, but see this big, amazing framed poster back here, for instance? This is one of the prizes that we acquired at the con. So if you saw us by any chance walking around, if we asked you questions, or if you saw us buying up stuff like this to give away to you guys, there is a chance you're on the show, and you probably know, because we had to ask for certain documentation from you, that there's a chance you'll be on, but we definitely recommend that you hop on and give it a watch, just in case you catch a glimpse of yourself.
Yep, that's great. We saw some great cosplayers who we interviewed. We saw some families there, some kids, just some amazing stuff. So there's a lot of really, really cool stuff. There you go. There's Harley Quinn, and I have no idea what, but that's a mother and daughter.
I was going to ask you what you thought, because the mom didn't tell us what her costume was.
I don't know. That could be a contest in and of itself. I mean, she's got the blue hair and the fur trim and the little yellow flower in the hat. I have no idea. What that is. Anybody who knows, maybe we'll give a prize for that if you can identify that character. But no, so many great people that we met and chatted with. And what's really fantastic about it is that all of that stuff, Jack, was kind of on the 2 days that we were at the con doing these test interviews. We didn't have a clue what we were doing. We were just like, let's just get stuff. Let's just.
Oh, you mean their initial shoot when we were doing the pilot?
Yeah, we were still trying to figure it out. Like, what could this be? And then, like I said, it really was a FUA's interview, which was after the con ended, kind of late in the evening too. It was well after we had planned on being there, but for some reason we stuck around and waited. And she was just amazing. Her story is amazing. The interview, her being candid with us was surprising. And when that happened, I think we all were just like, yeah, this is what we should be doing. This is
we're doing the right thing. We had some back and forth, and actually this came up earlier today when I was talking to some other folks who were involved behind the scenes. But initially, the idea was that maybe we should do this in front of you guys, in front of the audience,
live audience,
con, and allow questions and all of that. And what we realized was what was making this show unique, and what makes it really click, is that it isn't public, that it's very private. And so a lot of the people you interview, Jeff, I think, were willing to open up and talk about things that they would have never talked about in front of an audience. And I know you had a couple people literally say to you, either during the interview or after, they go, wow, that, whatever, that story, that moment that I shared with you, I have never shared with anybody ever.
We had Greg LaRocque on camera say, I've never told anyone this story before. And then he told us this epic story about his time at Marvel and Jim Shooter. And it was pretty awesome. Neil Adams, he's usually pretty, he's been around long enough.
He's pretty blunt.
He's very blunt. But, he also probably has a number of stories that he tells on the regular in panel type situations with a big audience. But with us, he was just messing around. He was being very mischievous when
Candid,
we interviewed him. And it was kind of great because he was very candid and told us some wild kind of things. But yeah, remembering too, Yannick Paquette was super relaxed. Everybody was relaxed. We created an environment where they could come in and hang out and have a cup of coffee and just kind of shoot the shit for 45 minutes. And at the end of it, they were all like, "Man, that was really fun." You know, we had many of them say, "That's the most fun I've had doing an interview ever."
Yeah.
And a credit to the environment that we set up and to the concept. The concept of the show, I think, is rock solid. And I'm really excited. I'm excited about getting season 1 out to people. I'm excited about next summer planning and filming season 2.
Yeah.
And it all starts with this unaired pilot that you guys are going to see on Friday night. And
that's right. Just
special.
a reminder, guys. Friday, we will be releasing the pilot with Afua Richardson from the world of Wakanda. If you're not familiar with her artwork, I think you'll be blown away. But I also think that one of the things that's going to blow you away is all the other stuff she's done. One thing that I will say that's really special about this upcoming pilot is that she has an incredible background. I mean, going everything you can think of, from being on Soul Train to performing at Carnegie Hall. I mean, there's just a lot in there that'll blow your mind. I think there might even be a little beatboxing. Is that right?
There is. Her resume, her Wikipedia page is loaded with stuff that you go, that's got to be made up. And the truth is, none of it is made up. And one of the things on her Wikipedia entry talks about her beatboxing. And of course, I'm like, you gotta. You know, it says it, and you admitted to it, so you've got to. And she, like that, just kind of broke in.
Did you beatbox? I'm trying to remember. Do you beatbox, Jeff?
No. I think I was just kind of sitting there uncomfortably going, I hope she's not going to throw it over to me.
Come on, man. Give us a taste before we wrap this up. Give us something.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm too white for that. And, you know, thank God that Afua covered all the bases. It would have been embarrassing if I'd tried to compete with her because – there you go, Jack.
There we go.
He's got a little bit of that. That's as good as it gets. No, she's amazing. The interview is amazing. You know, I saw her at Dragon Con a couple of weeks ago when I was down there, and she remembered us, and we chatted for a few minutes, and she's really excited to see it come out as well. So I think it's very special, and it really is the thing that kicks off the issues with Empire. It's a small empire, but I'm sure when Palpatine was thinking about it on his own, it was small too. But you know, look where that led to, right?
Well, I'm clocking out. So
all right,
everybody, I wish you guys a good weekend, and I hope you look forward to seeing this pilot Friday.
Yep. Keep your eyes on things on the Facebook page and on social media, and watch the show on Friday night. We look forward to hearing everybody's input, and we'll see you here next time on The Breakdown.